Deepwoken is a pretty diverse game full of all sorts of gameplay mechanics, weapons to mess around with, and elements that apply status through their mantra. I think it's safe to say that I've been critical of Thundercall in the past, but this is something exciting that we gotta dive into, and it's time to test our luck. What's up guys, it's Punchy, and I've noticed something strange, a standalone issue that I've never seen before with all my experience in the game. Previously, I discussed how Frostdraw and its chilled status was the buggiest thing ever, sometimes ignoring the core part of Frostdraw entirely and just not placing the freeze. It turns out that this was an ongoing issue, not really a game design choice, but that sparked another discussion behind something fully intentional. There's an attunement with RNG and luck behind its status. Thundercall, the high speed, high stun, ultra fast element, is well known for its solid mantra, but also not so effective status. The first and core status of basic Thundercall is fairly basic, and that status is named Shock. So Shock applies on every single mantra hit, slowing more, preventing rolling, and interrupting attacks, including those with hyper armor. This status is very consistent and occurs on every single mantra landed, so we can rely on this and it's less of an issue. It's worth noting that the Storm and Stormbreaker enchants apply Shock on weapon attacks as well as the Thunder mantras, so it's more of the same. This status is alright and it's not the root of our gambling issue. Surge Path fully replaces this shock effect with an interesting mix of burst damage and resource management with the surge needles, but again, it's not the main topic of today's video. Further, Thundercall status can be explored with the consistent placement of lightning tethers, increasing your buffs against that targeted player. I'll be honest, it's more of a resource than a status, but I think it's worth briefly bringing up. Again, this is consistent and happens without any luck involved. The sapped status can also be applied reliably to increase the cooldown of your enemy's mantras. It does damage on the retrieval of this Thunder Spear, whatever it may be, but again, it's valid and not RNG. But now, it's time to evolve further and harness the true power of the gambling attunement. In all my time playing Deepwoken, I have never seen an element with a chance-based status, and this is for good reason. Nobody wants to really rely on something that's chance-based, and this hurts even more if everything else in the entire game is reliable and not determined by luck alone. Anyway, the Authority Intimidator path is extremely reliant on an RNG status by the name of Electrify. So, this electrified status is gained through the talent Resolve Crusher, a 20% chance to electrify opponents. Players who are under this status convert all of their damage into lightning damage and deal 10% less, which is very good. Further upon this, with the second interrogation talent, opponents who are electrified do 50% less damage and posture, which I assume adds on top, meaning they do 60% less damage. Diving even deeper, all attacks from these electrified targets grant the user bonus ether based on how much damage they're doing, and it's safe to say that Electrify does a bunch. But that returns me to my original question. Why is such a good status the only one based off RNG in the entire game? And again, this is a 20% chance to proc on somebody, and the duration is about 3 seconds, I don't even know, 5 seconds maximum? I understand gambling in game and how that can be fun, burst damage, but seriously, Thundercall is so confusing with all the similar sounds, particles, everything, that this needs to be consistent. Regardless if the status itself is nerfed, this should be something that's reliable and usable at any time with enough work. So the gambling attunement is interesting, but it doesn't really fit with Deepwoken's current design. So what are your thoughts? Anyway, that's all for right now, and big projects are in the works, but make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see a real gambling attunement in Deepwoken. It's definitely not a problem, but trust me. Thanks so much and have a good one. It's punchin' time.